Ka super discount ni sabti atho shong kurim hadu san pho percent. Shimi kani ka kabuk siar ka badan be take away ka sabti ka way ka design. One chika wet showroom hamot pran ban mau lai mau ro lani phone ho number kandai sao lai rio san pra nyo lai pra.
Unang ilam kaliang persha u Dr. Mukul Sangma loong ba kajing jylla u Drok hakani ka thai North East kalong ka bajor bha. Haba kren chikilat pathai Khubor menta ka sngi u Dr. Mukul loong ba tang hadu arhajar arfoi hadu menta kajing yo Kurup Drok Assam kalakot chakan rius pa Klur tam pada Meghalaya pat kalakot kumba saus pa Klur tam barkani ka peni ba kajing khayi yaw ni umar bean kalong ka bujubor hadu kata-kata namar batang kibayo ya kajing khenru bat sakat no tam ya kibam yo Kurup kathai North East kadai ka basir bhan namar pagadon chibun ki khaput bat kibai ki ri kunthop ya ka Meghalaya batang kubai ki jylla kamla bante lakam yo Droks klemya trailang baro ki jylla hakathan katkum kajing ong u Dr. Mukul lada kamdon ka an ka baklan ban pinchitom ye kitu ki banle ya kani ka kam kan penting ya ki banle biang ya ka ju ka kam hadin bakila light na pathok.
There was a reference to ED probing the money trail resulting in the drug trade. Can you elaborate on that?
No, you see, the authorities across the state, across the region, across the country are grappling with the solution to the challenge of this whole network of peddlers and then uninterrupted peddling of drugs and reaching the end users, resulting in surge in the number of citizens, particularly the vulnerable youth, landing up in problem as substance users. And as you know, this problem is not confined to Meghalaya, nor confined to region, but nor even confined to the nation as a whole. It goes beyond the boundaries, beyond the international borders. It's a global problem. And that's the reason why there are lots of laws which are agreed upon. Many of the laws were enacted by the parliament based on certain global engagement and the decisions arrived thereof. Therefore, if you look at the genesis of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, it also is connected with this global resolve to deal with the whole circulation of money which is covered under the so-called definition money laundering, and which are actually the proceeds of crime. Therefore, how the proceeds of crime of the criminals engaged in these can very efficiently hide the money elsewhere. To prevent this whole, network of, rather the cartels working on this whole network, these laws were enacted by almost all the nations, India being one of them. And therefore, if the problem is not confined to within the boundaries of the country, it is a global problem. You have to look at how these laws can be effectively utilized. Because the Prevention of Money Laundering Act is designed to put an end to accumulation of wealth through proceeds of crime. Okay, now the proceeds of crime again is defined in many ways under the relevant act. But here we were talking about the huge seizure of drugs in different parts of the country. We're talking about even the quantum in terms of value of the drugs that has been seized in the preceding cumulative total value of the seized drugs in respect of Meghalaya was reflected at beyond 400 crores. And for the in respect of Assam, they have indicated the value of the seizure of the drugs since 2021 to more than 2,600 crores. So these are the values of the seized drugs. What about the drugs which have managed to skip seizure, which have managed to reach the end users? And where are they coming from? We have to understand from the geopolitical perspective the challenges that as a region we are confronted with. And you and I all are aware that the international borders along Bangladesh is porous. the international border with Myanmar is porous. And therefore, under the prevailing scenario which we see, are these drugs coming from within the country or from outside? These are issues of concern. And therefore, there is a need for the state not to work in silo, but work collectively with other sister states and also engage with government of India in a proactive manner, more aggressively. I'm sure they're doing it, but then that's a routine, usual thing. But then we have to take it on a war footing manner, given the challenges. Therefore, if the relevant laws are not good enough to go after because see, there are lots of lacuna in the NDPS Act 1985. We are aware of it, the authorities are aware of it, and the perpetrators are also aware of it. That's the reason you'll end up seeing the cartel is using the minors, using children as peddlers, because they know the law of the land, how the law will be enforced on the minors. There is a perceived feeling that if a criminal can make money, and irrespective of what are the provisions of the law pertaining to dealing with this kind of crimes, once they get out of the jail, if the duration of imprisonment is not long enough, it has been seen in the past that they go back to the same, criminal activities in as far as these people who are part of the cartel are concerned. You are seeing it across the globe, how nations have been destroyed because of this. It's a collective endeavor. All the states, no state should work in silo, because the whole cartel doesn't operate in one state. This problem is not confined to one state, nor few nations, nor Northeast. It goes beyond the boundaries. That's why I have talked about the precursors. Precursors which are used as ingredients to manufacture those substances of abuse. Methamphetamine, I have given an example. Now, what are those precursors which are used for that? Where are they being manufactured? Both the precursors and the end product. Now, how they can be regulated? By, utilizing the provisions of law. If there is disproportionate manufacture of the precursors which are used for production of the drugs which is in circulation, then they should give the leads for the investigating agencies. These are available. These leads are available. If you go by the whole investigation and the report and the charge setting which are available in the courts, these leads are available. But then all these leads must actually have a logical conclusion. And to ensure that all other provisions of law must be invoked, not just one provision of law inside. Or the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 can be effectively weaponized to create a strong deterrence and go after the cartel. That is what I was today sharing in the August House. How the space within the framework of that law provides the enforcement agencies, the authorities, to weaponize this law, to create a deterrence. If there are people who are looking at, smuggling and peddling of drugs as a lucrative business, the moment they are confronted by the authorities and the moment these provisions of laws are applied on them, and they'll end up in soup, that becomes a strong deterrence. Therefore, disproportionate wealth which is disproportionate to known source of income must be another area which should be seen as the leads to go after people who may be part of the whole cartel. Because if you look at the scales of business in this, Every time when you hear the report of, or rather we hear the report carried by media in terms of the seizure by the authorities. One seizure, the value is 3 crore, 4 crore, 10 crore, 20 crore, 40 crore, 100 crore, thousands of crores also. One consignment which was valued at more than few thousands was seized in India. So that gives us the scales of this whole business and the circulation of money of that scale. Therefore, in spite of these seizures, the business goes on. That means they have huge investable reserve, huge investable surplus to run the business. Therefore, why should not the law enforcing agencies look at this angle and utilize the law?